Directions for your overlapping shapes. Name and teacher code on the back. You will have a variety of shapes to use on your table. Make sure that you're sharing. Next, you're going to decide which direction you would like your paper to be. Using a black Sharpie marker, carefully trace any shapes you would like on your paper. Holding on to the shape stencil, you have to push down with the hand that is holding the stencil, and do not move the hand that is holding that stencil. It's very, very important to keep your hand from moving so that the stencil shape does not move around on you while you're tracing along the edge of the shape. If your hand is in the way, keep pushing down and lift up your arm and reach underneath your hand and your arm to continue tracing the shape. Try and create the idea that your shapes are overlapped by not marking inside of the shapes that are already drawn on your paper. Right here, I started at the line of the square that's already on my paper. I'm holding tightly to that stencil, remembering not to draw inside of the square that's already on my paper, and it creates the idea that one square is on top of the other square. Here, I'll show you what happens if you do mark inside of the shape that's already on your paper. So you can go around very slowly, holding very tightly to that shape stencil, pushing down the whole time so that shape doesn't scoot around. And here you're going to see the difference when I trace inside of the shape that's already on my paper. So you will see both of them and it will not look overlapped. Also try out tracing parts of shapes so it looks like they're going off the edge of your paper. Like always, hold very tightly to that shape stencil so it doesn't slide around while you're tracing around it. Here I'm also going to practice overlapping by stopping and starting my lines and not marking in the shapes that are already drawn on my paper. So when I move the stencil, it looks like one circle is underneath two different shapes. Keep going until your paper is filled with lots of shapes. Do your best to practice overlapping if you can. When you start adding color, you're going to use at least 3 crayons, or at least 3 different spaces with crayon, and at least 3 spaces with marker. If you want to do more, that is okay. When you color with crayon, practice coloring very dark and coloring slow. Do your personal best and try to stay inside those lines. Remember to use careful, slow movements and color as dark as you can. Remember, you can use more than 3 crayons, but not less than 3 crayons to color in spaces on your shapes. Next, we'll start working with those 3 marker choices. Hold the tape securely and pull the marker until it comes out. Then we'll use the side of the marker to create wide lines and color in the spaces for very nice coloring. This does take some practice. You can lay your marker flat and push it in and listen for the click, or you can hold your markers upright, put the marker back into the cap and push it down onto the table until you hear it click. If you notice, the top of the marker looks like a triangle, and we're using the side of the triangle to color in the spaces. As I said, it does take some practice to learn how to hold your marker. If you hold it straight up and down, you're going to get a skinny line. Try your best to hold it kind of at a little bit of an angle to see if you can get wide lines, and color in at least 3 spaces, but remember, not less. And then in the remaining space you have, you're going to paint in. Carefully stir the paint before you add it to your paper. And remember, pick up your brush when you make a new mark on your paper, and it is helpful to kind of make a line next to the black lines you created to help stay in the lines as best as you can. Remember, you're painting the rest of the white space on your paper. Don't forget, when you switch colors, rinse really, really well and blot your brush to get off all the extra paint and dirty water. At cleanup time, place your artwork on the drying rack.